I did it, guys! I finally hit Keystone Legend, aka 3000 Raider IO score for the first time ever in my WoW career with pub groups only, as a spec I never played before previously. First, I'm going to show you the dungeons leading up to reaching Keystone Legend, then I will talk about how did playing Holy Paladin feel overall. Was it hard or easy? Would I recommend it or not? And about what will I play next, based on what you guys chose for me on the poll. If this is your first time watching, you can find a playlist for the whole series in the description or at the end of the video. Last time I ended up on 2828 score, timing 4 out of 8 plus 12 dungeons and finished up all the 11s. I started the week with one last try for the Mr. Pick Me Up trinket from the Time Walking cache, but of course had no luck. Then, for the first time ever during this series, I did my own key, which was a Floodgate 12. There was nothing to lose for me here. If the key fails, then I will still be able to get into another Floodgate quite easily, so I thought, why not make my own first? I thought my group composition was actually quite nice. We had versatility buff from the tanks Mark of the Wild, we had Bloodlust, and 2 other combat reses apart from myself, and a shroud if we needed it. I must say this run was pretty solid. I have to give a special mention to the Rat Paladin here, as he was using his Lion Hands pretty much on cooldown, which was a big help sometimes, which is not something I often see. We had literally 0 deaths on a 12, if you can believe it, right up until the last boss, where this happened. Luckily, the boss was casting, so nobody else died while I picked him up. Then, the poor paladin walked into an electrified puddle. Unlucky. Despite those 2 deaths, we still managed to defeat the last boss in time, so overall, I was really happy with this group. I did a Theatre of Pain plus 12 next, where we had a few mistakes along the way, but we pulled the last boss with 6 minutes left. Plenty of time, right? Well, let's just say I really struggled on this last boss. But we still timed it. This will come back to haunt me later though, you'll see soon why. I had only 2 12s left to time. The next destination is a Cinderbrew Meadery. The group started out in a really good mood. We got a feast, people were positive.
Are you sure about that?
Saying it will be easy and stuff. The first pull went quite well, and honestly I'm kinda glad I wasn't healing a prot warrior here for once, no offense to them, but this demon hunter felt a lot easier to heal. I mean, just look at their self-heal. It's absolutely nuts, which took a lot of pressure off me. Also the DPS was quite high here overall, so this pack disappeared quickly. We defeated the first boss easily, and the second one as well. On the B boss, I saw the warrior dealing with the battles and I tried to help out when I could, but people actually doing one important mechanic on this boss makes a huge difference in healing. Needless to say, we destroyed this boss easily. We still had 9 minutes left at this point, which is a lot of time for the last room. The last boss is always very stressful to heal. There is always constant damage going out whenever the barrels explode, and you have to dodge the fire as well. Towards the end we lost the warrior, but I picked him up and carried on, finishing the boss, thus timing Cinderbrew 12 quite comfortably. Priory was the last plus 12 I needed to time. Our team composition, while it was kinda off meta, it looked fantastic because the monk tank provides Mystic Touch, which increases physical damage dealt, the hunter provides Bloodlust, and the warrior provides Battle Shout, which increases attack power, and we have a rogue who's going to be dealing mostly physical damage as well. This was a match made in heaven. The first pull went well, I didn't even need to use wings. Then my heart sank a little bit when we pulled the sharpshooters and the lynxes, but I had wings ready, so I wasn't worried about it too much. I just didn't expect it, to be honest. Unfortunately, a bit later, I bit the dust because there were 3 fireballs aimed at me and neither the rogue nor the warrior decided to kick. But I could have also used blinding light, but no, and the rogue fell too because I wasn't there to heal him. On the last boss, the warrior didn't turn away from the blinding light and I didn't react fast enough to dispel him, so he died. Luckily, we had still all combat reses ready, so I picked him up. Then the rogue got blinded as well, but I was able to dispel him fast at least. We finally finished the boss and almost double upgrade the key even. But more importantly, my keystones are now resilient. In case you don't know what that means, in this patch Blizzard introduced a new system to prevent your keys from depleting once you timed all dungeons on a +12. So now my +12 key can't deplete further even if we run out of time. You have to repeat this for all further key levels, so in order to achieve +13 resilient, you will have to time all of them, and so on. This won't really make a difference for me, to be honest with you, as I'm not really going any further than 13s. So, after timing all 12s, I'm on 2955 IO. According to the Mythic Plus Panel website, I needed only 3 dungeons to reach my goal of 3000 IO, and I had to complete pretty much all of them with at least 2 minutes left. Motherlode 13. Still the easiest dungeon this season in my opinion, at least from a healer's perspective. To my biggest surprise, we did not skip the Peacekeeper at the start, which I didn't expect. We had a very press the W key kind of route. We didn't really seem to skip much of this, which is fine. We are just past the second boss, and this is where we'll get the first death from the Demon Hunter because of aggro, which I almost died to and had to bop myself as well. But the fact that the tank got polymorphed was a lot more scary, but luckily I dispelled him fast enough for him to get the aggro back. After the third boss, the poor Demon Hunter walked into his own bomb. On the last boss, we were all gathering on the safe spot. In case you don't know, on the last boss, that point where we are stacking is a safe spot. The rockets will never hit that spot, but it's kind of hard to see and you will have to stand in the boss's hitbox a little bit. It's quite dangerous in my opinion, but our team played it perfectly. The druid even shadow melded his missile whenever he could. Nobody died during this boss. We were not quite done yet, as we were missing a tiny bit of percentage, so we destroyed a mine, which I didn't know gave a percentage until now. At the end, the Demon Hunter and the Druid gave me compliments for my heals, and I know this will sound super cringe, but it almost made me cry because I didn't expect it, and I'm terrible at receiving compliments, but it meant a lot to me, so it was very heartwarming. So, that's 1 out of the 3 dungeons down, way ahead of the required time. 2 more to go. Theater of Pain was one of the 3 dungeons that I needed to time on a 13, and it's precisely because of how badly we did it on the 12. Despite having a monk in our group, we decided to not skip the first pack because the tank wanted to skip both mini-bosses. After the first boss, I mentioned I'm not sure if we can do that by just running, but we definitely can do the second one. But lo and behold, we actually managed to skip the first mini-boss by just running past. Unfortunately, we fumbled on the second one, But hey, skipping one is better than none, I'd say. I had a really good feeling about this group. The damage felt quite high compared to what I'm used to, so I had a good feeling about this run. This feeling went away real fast when the monk got bonked by a frontal on Xav, followed by the shaman shortly after. These pair inspected the floor once again by standing in green circles on the first rush in the Gorchop wing. Deaths in 13s are extremely punishing. You lose 15 seconds from the timer with each death, so it's a bit frustrating, but mistakes happen. Thankfully, as I said, the group's overall damage felt quite high, so it wasn't too big of an issue for now. I think the pressure really got to this shaman. He was probably quite flustered and almost missed Lost, and unfortunately got wrecked on Gorchop as well. But he took accountability for it after, and to me personally, that's all what matters, you know. Sure, it costs of precious time, but as long as you don't blame others than yourself for your mistakes, nobody will care too much. On the other hand, I want to highly compliment this prop warrior. Hands down, the best one I met during the series. He barely ever took damage, I never had to worry about him. He can tank my Cinderbrew meadery anytime.
That's what she said!
Gosh, that sounded, Yeah, let's just move on, shall we? We got through Kultharok with no issues. And we had a bit more than 5.5 minutes left for the last boss. This was the smoothest Mordretha fight I ever done on a high key. We had no deaths on this boss at all. My cooldowns worked out perfectly. People used defensives, commanding shout and everything. It went so well. If you watched the video this far, then you're the GOAT. As a proof, write me down in a comment, what is your favorite snack? Mine are cheese twists. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. At this point, I am one single dungeon away from hitting Keystone Legend. And you might be wondering, wow, Saloon, you had such an amazing runs this week. You've been timing every dungeon first try. Ha! You fools! That's what I wanted you to think, but you've been bamboozled. I had many, and I say many, failures leading up to this point that I decided to make a little montage out of them. So, hope you enjoy.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. Maybe someday you'll have it your way. Maybe someday it'll all work out. Until then, nope, a nope, a nope, a nope, definitely nope, a nope, nope, a nope. Probably never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. Oh no.
The worst part of these fails was honestly the queue times. When I had to start doing 13s, I felt like hitting a massive brick wall. I was sitting there sometimes for more than an hour trying to get an invite as a healer. People were literally taking anything over me apart from Preservation Evoker. Sadly, the majority of players care a lot about meta on 13s, even though they are still doable with any spec. Anyway, enough teasing. Here is Mechagon Workshop, the last dungeon I needed to reach 3000 IO. This was the smoothest run I ever had in this dungeon, hands down. We took the first room slow and steady. We lost at the first boss. From a healing perspective, I find these drills and the healing absorbing slimes quite scary to heal, but I managed to keep us alive through it. The third boss can be quite tricky sometimes, as the longer it stays alive, the more hectic this fight gets. I was locked in super hard on this boss though, and nobody died. For me, the most stressful part is this double spider pull. This is definitely a healing check, and I had to dish out 3.2 million healing on these bad boys, but we made it. We are reaching the last boss with 0 deaths, which is incredibly good. We had a ton of time. The first phase of this boss isn't too bad, to be honest. The beams hurt, but apart from that, as long as you dodge balls, it's all good. The second phase, however, is quite stressful. I used to have terrible positioning on this boss because I was scared to be in melee, but for this last dungeon, I did it properly, and it was a lot easier than I thought. We did have quite a couple of victims though, but thankfully, none of them were me. The warrior died not once, but twice. And the rogue fell off at the end as well. But we finished off the last boss with plenty of time to spare, and I finally hit Keystone Legend. I did it! Let's fucking go! Haha! So, now the conclusion. Would I recommend Holy Paladin for Mythic Plus? Absolutely. Holy Paladin is one of the few remaining reactive healers in the game. The damage happens and you heal it. Simple. The only spell you need to think ahead with really is Aura Mastery, as you want the damage reduction up before it happens. I would especially very highly recommend Holy Paladins for anyone who plays melee classes mostly, as you are pretty much only using instant casts to heal. You heard that right. This is, I think, one of the main things that makes this healer unique is the fact that you are mostly working with instant spells such as Holy Shock, Eternal Flame or Word of Glory for single target heals, and Holy Prism and Divine Toll for AoE healing. I only cast Holy Light or Flash of Light when I can't be in melee for whatever reason. Because of this, you are almost never running out of mana either. You also don't need a million add-ons either, and the only mandatory Vikora in my opinion is the Awakening tracker to make sure you are not wasting your mini-wings. There are, of course, cons as well. Despite the spec receiving buffs twice in the past 2 months, it's still considered bottom of the barrel. I personally think the main reason for this is not output, but simply the fact that any Paladin spec brings the same utility you bring to the group. And Red Paladin is the most popular spec in the game, so despite being a healer, you are fighting for the same spot. Most people don't want more than one Paladin in their groups. This does not matter if you're only doing up to +10s, I feel like. That's important to mention. For 10s, you can take any class or spec or even group composition and it will be fine. If you are pushing for Keystone Legend or above, however, it will be more and more difficult to get invited for sure. Overall, I would rate it at a medium difficulty spec. It's not easy, but it's not as hard as you might think. The way it plays currently feels smooth, and it's not hard to learn or get used to at all. Well, that's it guys. The Holy Paladin journey has officially ended. But what's next, you might wonder? In the last video I announced the poll for a 0 to Keystone Hero, where up until that point Outlaw Rogue was winning, but since then that changed. So everyone, meet Chisu, the vampire-looking arcane mage. So expect next Sunday the first episode of some arcane mage goodness. I thank you all very much for watching. The support I received throughout this series was incredible, and I hope you will all stick around for more, as I really enjoy making them. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that sub button and make sure to like as well. I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye!